Hi, and welcome to Property Mastermind podcast number 2. Today, with our very special guest, travelled all the way 15 metres from one office to the recording room, Bob Andersen.
I'm exhausted. It's the longest 15 metres I've ever ran.
So if you don't know Bob, you must have been under a rock. Bob and I work in the Property Mastermind business together, and he's basically a property legend. So I've told you about him a bit in podcast 1, where he's been involved in property development for around 38 years and done over $1 billion worth of property development. Currently, we're building a retirement village down in New South Wales. Just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to property, developed in every single state, excluding the Northern Territory, everything from splitters to high rises. If you want to know anything about property, he's the man.
Oh, thanks. Great intro.
Yeah. Well,
Best one I've ever had.
Oh, I don't think so. I've heard some good ones. But anyway, today we're having a conversation with you about why property development.
Why anything? Why invest, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yes.
If you wind it back, I mean, some people go through life and that's fine.
Well, everyone goes through life.
Well, not everyone actually makes it.
No. Yeah, no.
But let's say
nobody gets out alive.
It just depends on how long you get away with it.
What do you say about that guy who's is it Keith Urban? No.
Keith Richard.
Keith Richard.
The man that death forgot.
Yeah, that's right.
From the Rolling Stones. Yeah. But, I say to my kids, I'm planning to live forever. So far, so good.
Oh, perfect.
But, talking about investment, some people never really do an investment. I mean, they have a job, and at the end of it, because they haven't put anything special aside, they end up jumping into the safety net of the pension.
Oh, the pension. Crikey. I've never actually heard anyone say that they had a fantastic life living on the pension.
No, I don't think it's built for lifestyle, the pension. It's built for existence. So unless you want to just exist in the later part of your life, I guess, you've got to invest.
And there's plenty of things you can invest in. Yeah, Bitcoin. I get plenty of that info in my junk.
You can. Yeah,
I don't even understand really how that works. Not really a Bitcoiner. Yeah. There's
shares. A lot of people invest in shares, and that's good. I'm not one of those people that dyed-in-the-wool property lovers who says, "Oh, property's everything and shares are crap. Don't invest in shares." Look, there's a place for everything.
Absolutely, yes.
I have a share portfolio, but I love property more than anything.
I know.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm a bit the same. Property's easy, I think. Easier to get started in for me anyway. I know we all have our own things. But yeah, I agree. Property, as far as investing goes, I think a lot of people find it a lot easier to get into than some of the other stuff.
I think because it's such a solid thing.
Yeah.
If you think of property, you've got land.
Yeah.
And there's only a finite amount of land. You've got housing that we live in. We're familiar with houses. We live in houses or apartments or townhouses. It doesn't matter. And, it's just solid. It's not, I was going to say, and I'm not picking on shares at all because I've got some shares. But in the old days, we used to, waive a share certificate and say, well, look, it's not like a piece of land or a house. It's a share certificate. And, there is something solid about real estate, isn't there?
And especially, I think, for Australians and New Zealanders, we have that thing about owning our own land, don't we?
Look, property for us, for Australians and Kiwis, is our love affair. We all have a love affair with property. And it's a topic of conversation. You go out for dinner with people, you go to a barbecue, it's always a property comes up. It's not like that, say, in the States, They tend not to look at property as the asset class that we look at it in Australia. Yeah,
and I think when you say Australians and New Zealand, as the people that live in Australia and New Zealand, so covering, all ethnicities, but I think, you're right. It's such a normal conversation.
Yeah,
totally.
So that's why a lot of us invest in property. And there's lots of ways of doing that.
Well, there's passive or active to start with.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you could go the passive way if you like. You could buy an investment property, sit on it, wait for it to go up. Hopefully you haven't had to wait too long.
Yeah. Well, lately you wouldn't have waited. Yeah. A few years ago down in Sydney and Melbourne, you just kind of went to sleep overnight and you became a millionaire.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really successful people overnight.
For about 5 years there, you could, just keep making money by going to sleep, waking up, not dying.
Yeah, fantastic. How good for them.
Yeah.
So good.
They had that correction. We had a correction, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne. sort of late, 17, bit of a correction. That was only a correction after a bull run.
Yes.
But, and property investment is a solid way of building wealth. But you just mentioned that's the passive way.
Yes.
Set and forget.
Set and forget, like concrete.
Nothing wrong with that. Far better to do that than to do nothing and then end up
regretting it.
Well,
failing the rocking. Failing the rocking chair
Sorry,
test.
all you pensioners out there.
Yeah. Or there's the active way, which is developing.
That's what we love.
Love it.
We're action people.
You go the developers. I keep begging and hope that's okay.
I feel a little bit like Joe Rogan here. Not used to being on podcasts.
I know, and it's so close. So we're
Joe Rogan sold his podcast, the exclusive rights to his podcast, for $100 million.
Wow.
Maybe you could do that soon.
This is podcast number 2. I don't think.
Oh, no, he's up into the thousands.
$20. It's for sale, $20.
Spotify, they're listening. They're watching
yes,
you.
Yeah, they will be. Don't you worry. Yeah, so we're on the active part of developing, and I talked about that in the intro, going over the 4 stages of development, the 4 stages of where people are on their journey, either, not having done anything, probably started at renovating, may have done something.
That's active.
Absolutely. Like the splitter. Reno and go.
Yeah, like even a Reno. I know I have a bit of a shot at Reno sometimes.
He loves a good Reno.
But, being a dyed-in-the-wool avocado. I nearly said avocado. Somebody who absolutely loves property development. But at least it's active. It's adding value to something by taking actions, renovating. Yeah, that's good.
No, seriously, December 19.
Don't remind me.
Dragged Bob back to New Zealand. We did a renovation and he was actually my lackey for the whole project.
Oh, I did. I had the tool belt on, was taking orders.
Yeah. Hey, we'd wake up in the morning and say, today we're doing this. And I've done like so many.
I had my fluoro tradie shirt on.
I don't know what it possessed him to buy that. It was awful. You look terrible.
My tool belt.
You do not suit yellow. But anyway, that was another whole story.
Yeah. I mean, that was good, even though I got pretty well belted, given orders every day, banging my finger with claw hammers and the like, but that was good.
I mean, the reason for me that's a holiday. It was a break from doing what we normally do, and it's nice to pop the tool. I framed out the bathroom. I love doing that.
Yeah.
That was my holiday for that. Well, it wasn't the only holiday that year, but it was just nice to go back to a place that I'd owned for a long time. And the kids came back and, it was our last hurrah there. And it was nice. We all got amongst it, ripped up the carpet.
Oh, you're a bit of a demon on the old crowbar.
Oh, you love a good crowbar kitchen rip out.
Ripping kitchens out, tearing walls down.
But I'm
saying, hey, wait, there could be some electric wires in this wall. Just calm down. But anyway, that was all good fun, hey?
Yeah, no one died of it.
But that was a reno. And, that was fun.
Yeah, of course. So, moving on from, renos.
To property development. And the thing is, that you don't have to do, some people think you've got to serve an apprenticeship. You've got to buy an investment property and then a bit later you do a reno or 2 and then a bit later you do a little property development. But, we've seen people
jump straight in.
Well, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be, it can be in and out so quickly.
Well, on little projects you can, yeah. I cut my teeth on little subbies.
Yeah. What was your journey into property development, Bob?
Oh, well, yeah, a bit of a bumpy ride before I actually got into it because I came out of a bad car accident. So typical young guy, living life at 100 kilometres an hour or maybe a bit more. I had three cash businesses, so I was going pretty well. Open my glove box, there's cash. Open my console, there's cash. Having a good time.
Hope the ATO's not
as a young guy would.
Yeah. It was a long time ago. They can't go back on.
Quite a long time ago. No, cash is almost a dirty word. And one night went to a mate's 21st, driving home 4 o'clock in the morning, totally sober by this time, I should say. But I was just so tired.
I questioned that, by the way.
Well, I was.
No, I know you were. I know.
And went to sleep before I got home. Not a good time to go to sleep when you're driving.
Not when you're heading toward a bridge.
It's not good for your health, as I found out. And a bridge jumped out in front of my car, and I ran into it. And so much so that I did manage to extricate myself from the car. Police came along.
They thought you had finished.
Thought I was finished. I was lying on the ground with a lot of blood on me, although not demised, as you can see. And that was a bad car accident. Anyway, long and short of it is, I was off work. My businesses, which totally relied on me, Had to go by the by.
Yeah.
Back home, living with mum and dad, recuperating.
Oh, that's always good, moving
12 months
home.
on crutches.
Oh.
And watching my savings, which weren't great because I was spending it almost as fast as I was making it. And I had a good life.
I've seen some photos. He wore some groovy clothes back then.
Oh, I did, yeah.
The big flares, platform shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Shockers.
All the good stuff. Seersucker shirts, you name it. And I had it. It's a bit like Staying Alive, the old film clips. Anyway, there you go. So, best thing that ever happened to me.
Yep.
Because it put me on my back. So the first 6 months I just felt sorry for myself.
Yeah.
Whinged. Did all the usual stuff.
Yeah.
Why me? That stuff you go through. But then I woke up, well, it's not going to get me anywhere. And so I thought, well, okay, as I recuperate, what am I going to do?
Would you think that it was, the lying in the bed feeling sorry for yourself, was that rock bottom, do you think? Or close to?
Well, it was for me at the time. Well, not rock bottom. No. Because, look, I'm back at mum and dad's place. Mum's fussing over me.
Oh, yeah.
Financially, it was pretty rock bottom because I think I came out of there with $5 when I eventually recuperated in my bank account. But not rock bottom.
No.
I wasn't living hard on the streets or getting attacked. But it gave me time to think about what I wanted to do with my life, how I wanted to sort it out, not just keep living life in the fast lane. And so had to make some new friends. And which is good.
You did a bit of reading too.
Did a lot of reading.
Didn't you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Oh, I did. I read everything. Well, I don't know quite what I read back then. It was a long time ago. It's probably but I read some books at the time, whatever was out there. Got into health. Read a lot of Paul Bragg's books at the time. So I changed myself, changed my whole dietary regime. So here I was. Changed my whole lifestyle. Started getting into health, reading a lot of health books, changing my diet, reading, books. I can't even remember what they were called back then, but it got my mind sorted out. And so I decided, well, what am I going to do? I want to make money. You always think about what you don't have. When you're hungry, you think about food all the time. Whatever you don't have, you think about. Short of money, what do you think about? Money. How am I going to make money? How am I going to pay the bills? So I was obsessed.
So you had mum feeding you, so that was covered.
Yeah, but that wasn't my future.
No, no.
Even mums have a limited life. And so, I had to make money. And I thought, well, who makes money? Let's go out there. Who's making the money? And I had a look around and had a look at what, obviously I knew what my dad was doing, but my dad was a spray painter panel beater. He's a tradesman, I suppose you'd say, in the automotive industry. But he wasn't a wealthy man. He was a happy man, but he wasn't wealthy. And I thought, no. And then I looked at property and I thought, it's property. It's something to do with property. I wasn't sure. And I thought about being a builder. And I thought, well, I suppose I could become a builder. And the more I dug into it a bit, I came up with property development. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what you did. You couldn't study. I had to look around. There's no courses on property development. But I knew that's where I wanted to go. And I thought, well, I've got to get my foot into property somehow.
And that was your journey into property development?
That's my journey into property. I went working for a real estate agent who sold subdivisions, met developers, met agents, met people, met a lot of consultants, through that. And eventually, got to a point where I could, get my first little development on the way. And that was so I guess it was through necessity. It was an accident that put me on my back, that put me into a position where I had to reassess my life, which is why I say it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And came up with I guess a solution, although I wasn't quite sure how to action it. And so, like you are when you're young, 10 foot tall and bulletproof, you say, well, I'm going to give it a crack. I've got to get in there. And I snuck in the back door on property development through real estate sales, as a lot of people have done.
Would you say even now, like the community and especially the people we work with, a lot of them come into property through necessity? Do you think that that's quite common?
Some of them do. A lot of them do.
What would you say roughly? Just ballpark it. What do you think?
Depends what you mean by necessity, but...
Well, like yours, like you knew you had to do something.
As you well know, because, we do a lot of this together, there's people that are fly in, fly out.
Yeah.
They're sick of flying in and flying out. It's hard on it's hard on partners, it's hard on kids, it's hard on all of that sort of thing. Yeah. And so they want to get into a position, where they don't have to do that. There's people that are in dead end jobs.
I suppose it's defined necessity, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, people that want to change their lives, some of it could be by necessity. Well, I mean, when COVID happened, a lot of it was by necessity, but anyway, look, that's my little property story. I mean, everyone's got their own property story. And you've probably got one too.
I do. Well, there's way more to that, which we'll get to over time, I'm sure. There's such that you've got such good pockets of stories around your journey. And mine was sort of So I suppose I could say not out of necessity. Like I didn't look at it that way. I think mine was more, I was a single mum. I'd already bought my first property at 18 and I come from a large family and they're farmers. So my parents supported everyone who wanted a farm into a farm. And if you weren't into farming, well, tough. You were supposed to marry one or live on one or be one. And I didn't tick any of those boxes because I got off the farm as soon as I could.
You don't look like a farmer.
I was never a farmer. No, I still don't fit the farming mode. You know, it was great. It was great as a child. I had a great upbringing, you know, catching crawlies and fishing, very outside. I'm still a boy
walking
at
in
heart.
cow dung.
Oh, yeah, like pet animals everywhere. And, you know, life was great growing up on a farm. But I think that because my parents weren't into property, they just didn't understand it. Even, you know, I've looked at things they've done, you know, in their later years once they'd retired from farming. And I think, oh my goodness, you know, I so wouldn't do it that way. It's just such an old school way of doing things. But anyway, that's their business and their buzz. I didn't really have any support around property. But what I did learn early was that my father said, unless you owe the bank money, you're going nowhere. So I knew I had to.
Oh, that was a good bit of advice.
Yeah, that was a piece of advice that I took on board. And he's a really hard worker, so he did ingrain that into us. But
strong work ethic.
Yeah, like, you know, still now, like we, you know, both of us, we love working. It's kind of because it's what we do. But even I suppose when it back to property, having bought one at 18 and then just completely renovated it, and then I just carried on with property. And then when I was a single mum, I was really gutsy. Like I was in my early 20s or mid 20s. And I'd just go and buy. I wasn't developing then. I'd just go and buy a property as an investment and put tenants in it. And I'd always have to repaint it. And I was always doing something with property, and never lived in the houses I owned. I always owned houses that I could just have tenants in, and I'd go and, you know, rent somewhere a lot nicer. That's what I would do. It was kind of my journey there. But even on to now, like in developing, I did just one in New Zealand before moving out to Australia. So I did about 23 winners, I think, or 20. I always count. I should actually get that figure right. And then at now doing 4. Yeah. So, you know, involved in 4.
In 4 projects in
4 different states.
4 states.
It's kind of empowering as a woman.
Except not in the Northern Territory.
No,
never done one there myself.
No, maybe we should do one in the Northern Territory. We were talking about doing one somewhere obscure a couple of days ago. Anyway, that's another story for another day. So yeah, why property development for me? I think it was a vehicle that I knew I could make money, and as a single mum, I could teach myself along the way, and I could just do it. You know, the first few times you didn't quite know. You know, I sort of worked out on the run what to do.
Bit of trial and error.
Yeah, bit of trial and error, mostly around investing initially because I could do that myself.
Yeah,
and it afforded me a better lifestyle. You know,
that's what a lot of it's about.
Yeah.
You know, why property development? Well,
lifestyle.
Make money.
Yeah.
Make the most money.
Everyone wants to make some money.
Why do you want to make the most money? Most people say, well, I want a better life. That's lifestyle.
And the reason we make more money, you know, let's go down that road. It's because we're developing property at raw cost.
Well, exactly. You know, people often hear me say, well, property development is the pinnacle of all property strategies.
I've already used it in the last. I used it in the first podcast. So like that is the pinnacle of all.
It is.
Oh well, I've sat through so many workshops now.
Yeah, but
I can recite them. You know.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, that's where the big companies make money. Yep. Mirvac, Lendlease, Australian. What do they do? Property development.
Yeah,
they're not stupid.
No,
they know where the big bucks are.
That's where the big bucks are, Bob.
Yeah, that's where the big bucks are in property development. But you don't have to do giant projects like they do.
No.
You could do a little 2-lot subdivision. Do a 2-lot subdivision and build 2 houses if you want to step it up a bit further. That's beautiful. You know, one of the great things about property, there's a million things. Hey, we could talk all day about that, but it's that you can start small.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a 2-lot subdivision. Maybe you move a house sideways and cut another block of land off. Maybe you knock an old house over and cut it into 2 lots. Maybe you sell those 2 blocks of land. Maybe you build on one and sell the other block raw. Maybe you build on 2. And if you build on 2, you could build on one at a time. Build one, sell one. Build a second one, sell. It's so
many ways of doing it.
And that's only a little 2-lot subby.
Yeah, so that's just with that. So the options are just endless.
The more you do, the more you make, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also, you know, when you start talking about just those, you know, you're strolling through the you know, potential things you could do with just a little subby. You've sort of mind flicks to people, you know, they did that, and it's just the most unsuspecting people.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's hard to not make a 6-figure profit out of property, even on the smallest of developments, which to me is, say a 2-lot subdivision, splitter, or a 2-lot subby. They're related pretty closely.
And when was the last time you saved that amount of money? That's
the point.
Yes.
People might be on $100,000 a year, but like, how much do you actually have in the bank at the end of the year? Or if you're on 60, how much do you have in the bank at the end of the year? That's the beautiful thing about, here's another one.
Yeah, here it goes.
You can do it a property development while you still have your day job.
Yeah.
You don't have to quit and then go and do one. I mean, we've known people that do 2 or 3 small projects while they've still got a day job.
Yes, before they decide to. A lot of people that we work with do want to step up and just become developers, and some are happy to stay there. But I think it's the high percentages to move across to developing. Would you agree? Maybe slightly higher.
I think the thing is that say you did pick something a little bit bigger, a 4 townhouse project. If you go around the capital cities, you might average $500,000 profit out of that 4 townhouse project. I mean, that's like 5 or 6 years wages for the average person. But if you worked out the number of hours a week that you actually put into it, remembering that it's nearly everyone else who's doing the work, 5 hours a week, 6 hours a week on average.
A little bit heavier at the start finding it, but that's about it really, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, how many hours are there? Right? But the beautiful thing is, like, you could say it took you even 2 years to do that project. That's $250,000 a year, spread over
Not
2 years,
bad.
$500,000, and you're working less than a day a week.
Yeah.
So why would you want to work for $60,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 a year and work 40 hours a week? And good luck if you're only working 40 hours a week these days.
Yeah.
When you can do that, and you can start by doing one while you've got a day job. And that's why I think a lot of people move across, is because they realise they're making so much more money out of that than they are out of the day job, unless you're absolutely passionate about your day job.
And sometimes initially to get started, they need the day job for serviceability. That's a
good idea.
A little bit of a starting point. It won't depend on, getting a structure.
Getting started, you need finance. And the bank likes it if you've got a job.
Yeah, banks do like that. But yeah, back to developing it at raw cost,
raw cost. You said it. That's exactly what you said before. I mean, who wants to pay retail price? Well, 98% of the market don't have a choice.
No. Bob loves value. That'd be value too.
I hate paying retail. What about you?
I love a good sale.
You do love a good sale.
I do. Oh, I do love a good sale.
The good news is
yes,
that next month is what? The end of the financial year. What's that is
so many sales
next to Christmas.
Month.
It's the sale.
The best time of year ever.
Best time. You get some great deals end of the financial year.
I've got so many clothes I don't need to put into my wardrobe coming up.
Yep. You need another wardrobe probably.
Oh, God,
That's one of the first things you buy,
Well, I actually I like a sale. So, yeah, the idea of developing, really getting the property at raw cost appeals to me. But Bob loves value. Yours is the Warren Buffett thing, isn't it?
Well, I do like value, whatever I do. It's not all about price. But I think our old mate Warren said, price is what you pay, value is what you get. If you think about that, value. In other words, something really good, a good return on your money spent. And look, it could be anything. It could be a new printer, which is why I don't like paying retail. If you're looking at a multi-function printer, I don't know, they're about $500, let's say. But I mean, if there's one on special, a good one for $400, well, that is really good value. It's probably reasonable retail value at $500. You get it for $400. I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you know, I watch I watch all the sales. I like to buy stuff on sale. I don't like paying retail. I mean, in absolute desperation, I'll pay retail for something, but I don't like it. If you like that with a printer, what about a property? What about if you could create a $600,000 townhouse for $500,000 or $490,000? I mean, you're talking about $100,000 saving. We're not talking about $100 on a printer. We're talking about $100,000 saving on a townhouse. And what if you did 3? That's a $300,000 saving.
That is good value.
Because you created at cost. Not wholesale. No. Not retail. They're different. Cost.
Nice.
That's how you build big portfolios.
And that gives you the option to to decide to keep or keep some, or there are just so many more options when you do, for people, options available, especially if it's more like your second or third one. Often the first ones you have to get in and get out. You need to draw out the money to carry on, to start progressing. But as you carry through, there's those questions about, and maybe that's a future podcast, deciding when to hold and when to, keep as investments or sell or.
Sounds like the Gambler, the song.
What?
Knows when to hold, knows when to fold.
Yeah. No, I won't sing.
No, don't
go there.
No.
Yeah, actually, I listen to quite, I'm a bit of a podcaster. Like, I listen to quite a few. Oh, I'm a total podcaster.
Oh my God.
Yeah, every day. And on varying topics. So I do listen to a few property ones. But I listened to somebody the other day, and they're big into investing, actually. I listened to their journey. It was quite funny because I know their journey, because as I was listening, I was like, you did Bob's course. I remember seeing him at one of the workshops, but he'd already done it before then. And that's how he got into it. Didn't give you any kudos there either, Bob.
Never mind.
No.
That's all right. I mean, that's okay. That's not unusual. I mean,
but his journey started off, I know it was started through developing, and then he's gone on to being an investor, and quite a successful and quite a well-known investor now.
That's good news.
Yeah, I know.
I'm happy about that, had a bit of a handle in there.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, what we do, what do we do? Well, we teach people how to do property developments. Yeah, that's what we do. But really what we do is we're putting people in a situation where they can make lots of money and change their lives. Yeah. We're in a way, like, property development's the tool, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we change people's financial lives. That's what we do.
Totally. I mean,
give them the opportunity to change their own.
Yes.
Using what we teach.
It's funny that obviously, how many millionaires have come out of Property Mastermind? Wow. How many people have you made very rich, Bob?
I don't know what's very rich.
Yeah, no, rich to one person is not rich.
When I was growing up, an extremely rich person was a millionaire, but like these days, like,
everyone's a millionaire.
If you own a house, you're a millionaire.
Yeah, exactly.
So I generally don't count the family home as qualifying for a millionaire because, But out of our property development programs, like many millionaires, but not that that's such a big deal. I mean, if you do 2 4-packs, you probably made $1 million.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
And you might have even done that while you had a day job. Who knows? But I mean, that's like we started off saying, it's the pinnacle of all property strategies. It's where you make the most money. So obviously people that do that are going to make the most money. They're going to be more millionaires created. You're going to create more property millionaires.
Yeah. Love creating property millionaires. Love helping people become property millionaires. Such a buzz. Well, I think we've
had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and just talked a little about why property development, and hopefully we've inspired you to think, I'd like to know more about property development. If you would like to know more about property development, check out our website, propertymastermind.com.au. You can Google Bob or myself if you need to read a bit more. There's a bit on the About Us page. I need to change the picture. I've still got long hair on that one. I'd love to have some reviews. So if you've got some really nice positive things to say them. If they're not so nice, just send me an email. If you need me to fix something, let's not go there. The other thing is, we will be holding Q&As with Bob and myself, especially, remember, I called him Google. He knows pretty much everything there is to know. So if you do have a question around property development, feel free to email it through to me, Hilary at propertymastermind.com.au. Hilary just has one L. Hilary at propertymastermind.com.au. It'll be down the bottom. The links for everything will be down the bottom. And also remember to like, follow, share us with your friends. If you think you have somebody who would enjoy listening to what we talk about, listening to our podcast, we'd love you to share it with them. And remember, each week I will be choosing somebody to, if you want to have a free coaching session with me, send me an email or, by writing a comment that you'd like to receive, go on the draw to win that. Let me know and I'll announce them starting from probably the next podcast. So thank you so much, Bob, for jumping on and sharing.
Great. I mean, I've loved it. It's good fun. We'll do it again one day.
Oh, we'll be doing it. You're on like every second or third one.
Oh, okay.
Did you not get that memo?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, people. Catch you next time.
Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.